If you picked card number 1, this is it. Victimhood. Take responsibility. If you fetched this card, it means you're feeling powerless in some aspect of your life, whether in relationship, work, finances, or something else. You may feel trapped or imprisoned, or perhaps you're experiencing or perceiving that someone or something has invaded your turf, taken your toys, or is limiting your life in some way. Regardless of the details, you're experiencing a sense of victimization, most likely trapped inside a doghouse of your own making. Making choices and taking action from a victim perspective keeps you and others in a cage, sometimes in a rage. Blinded to your own reactions, the victim trap can cause you to follow the wrong scent, blaming and barking at others for what you think they should or should not be doing. Hit pause, P-A-W-S, on blindly charging along and prepare for a different kind of hunt. Acknowledging you're in this victim energy is the first step to breaking free. Get clear about your needs, wants, and passions. Are you afraid these won't be met or expressed? Feel the fear, make decisions, and take action anyway. Are you asking for one thing but really wanting another? Be honest and direct with yourself and others. Are you expecting others to do something for you, with you, or to you? What happens when they fall short of your expectations? Drop expectations and do your part. Once you realize you have new choices to make, you can choose to run with the same pack or a different one, the victims or the victors. The victors in life are those who model taking 100% responsibility for their own lives, regardless of others or what else is going on in the world. These are the true big dogs you want to run with. If you chose card number 2, this is it. Resistance. We resist what persists. If you fetched this card, it means you're either pulling away from or pushing against something important that needs to happen in your life. In some area of life, you're resisting a change, a shift, or a move that either gets you out of your comfort zone or doesn't make sense from your current perspective. As long as you lunge or look away from what's keeping you tethered, you don't have to deal with what's holding the other end of the leash. You might gain temporary relief from the fear of change. However, at some point, you'll run out of the energy required to resist change, possibly losing something important, such as your health, an opportunity, or a relationship. Maintaining resistance devours your life energy. How does resistance show up in you? Is it in your body, showing up through health issues, accidents, or injuries? Is it in your mind, showing up as power struggles around right and wrong? Is resistance showing up as defensive, self-righteous, controlling, judgmental, manipulative, or apathetic behaviors with others? Taking many forms, resistance can also show up as to-do lists, excuses, and distractions. Or your stories about obligations and duties that keep you from slowing down, stopping, and listening to your inner wisdom and guidance. Resistance can be a good warning whistle. You're ready for a change. You've been howling for it, at least subconsciously. Resistance can be a guide dog when we recognize it for what it is. It shows you where in your inner world of thoughts, beliefs, and stories you need updating, healing, or more freedom to be who you really are. When we acknowledge and explore our resistance, we begin to unleash the power to navigate change. We can then take steps toward meeting our deepest needs and desires instead of straining and getting nowhere. This is your card if you picked number 3, creativity. Play your own song. If you fetched this card, it means you're ready to take a fresh look beyond old limits and leashes and become open to learning new tricks. You may have been held back by thinking you needed the safety of old familiar runs until those turned to ruts. You may have completely underestimated your innate ability to create something new, either solo or in tandem with others digging and playing in a larger sandbox. And now you're ready to fill a blank canvas with your own strokes, make a new thing, or use a familiar thing in a new way. Creativity is infinite in the fashions, forms, and figures that it can take. Your field of dreams may intersect with others' creative territories in a way that allows some unique new creation to come into being as a result of collaboration. What could that be? What is calling you to help move it from the energy of an idea to something you can see, hear, smell, taste, or touch? If there's a stiffening hesitation or resistance to a new process that wants to unfold, just acknowledge the thought or notice the feeling that seems to say it's too scary or it could never happen. Thank that emotion for its energy, then harness it as fuel for your project. That kind of experience is often preamble to most fine creations, and something to move through on all fours in order to start moving in the direction of making something more concrete. Then, with clear resolve and focus, you can get up, stretch, and fearlessly bound toward that new idea or ideas that could birth any number of litters in the days ahead. This is card 4, fear. Face the fear. If you fetched this card, it means you're experiencing a state of emergency, with ears up and nose to the wind, sensing some kind of danger in your yard, under the bushes, in a tree, or off on the horizon. You may be on red alert or only mildly concerned or worried, but wherever you are on the spectrum, it's important for you to be aware and know the difference between what is real and present and what is simply hounding you from your past. Fear is healthy for your survival and the survival of the species, and you are hardwired to respond to your outer environment with a complicated and well-designed inner apparatus. It tells you when to sit, run away, or pounce, which in turn can relay to others a cue to sit, run, or pounce also. With only past painful experience as a guide, fear can cause you to curl up in a ball, and worse, put you on a short leash in life. If it becomes an alarm you can't turn off, it will steadily gnaw at your head, heart, and soul, exhausting your energy and any reserves you might have for risking change that could result in growth and forward movement. It's difficult to stay frisky and playful when constantly on alert to threats, real or imagined. If you find yourself tuned in to the frequency of fear a great deal of the time, you may need to learn new tricks to put yourself into a more relaxed state of mind when there is no immediate danger or threat. Take charge of your own internal fear whistle and how it works so you can move through and beyond fear, grabbing all that life has to offer. If you picked card 5, your card is excellence. Do your best. If you fetched this card, it means you're being called to strive for your personal best in some endeavor you're passionate about or that is deeply important to you. Only you ultimately know the standard you must attain to know you've put your best paw forward, jumped your highest, and run your fastest. It's not about perfection or constantly proving to others that you're worthy. You're in competition with yourself, in the sense that where you are is no longer satisfactory, and you see something better to aspire to. Where are you now and where do you want to be? Get clear about that. Then close that gap step by step until you begin to see reliable results. Celebrate the small victories along the way. Keep going beyond what you've already done, and you'll move ever closer to excellence. Staying true to who you uniquely are and what you love to do means you can arrive at excellence naturally as you move with head and heart aligned and with deep respect for your contribution to yourself and others. You are being asked to sniff out one small step in the direction of your biggest dreams, then point yourself in that direction and keep doing that. In going for your best, you may often find yourself in a lather and frustrated by seeming obstacles that just make you want to howl. But putting in your 10,000 hours to achieve mastery is what's required if you're ready to run that last lap of the track to bust through the ribbon and claim your prize. Remember that the darkest hour is just before dawn. You may be much closer than you think. You achieve true excellence when you arrive at your sweet spot through commitment, effort, and persistence. And remember, it's rarely arrived at alone, so don't hesitate to hire a trainer to guide your training and maximize your efforts. This is card 6, Tenderness, Gentle, Loving Care. If you fetched this card, it means you're in need of care, or you need to express care somewhere in your life. The root of tenderness suggests you now pay attention to what is sensitive and fragile, offering a gentle stroking, a thoughtful pat, or a focusing of love. What is needed so that your life or another's life may flourish again? Perhaps there's an open wound in you, something vulnerable or painful to the touch that's in need of deep healing. It may be time to make yourself the pet you diligently take care of, making sure that plenty of fresh water and healthy, tasty food are available. Perhaps even more importantly, use kind words, spoken in soft and reassuring tones, to let yourself know that all will be taken care of and that all will be well as you treat yourself more tenderly. If there's someone in your life you've taken for granted as your days together have become banal or dog-eared from a demanding daily grind, it could be time to tend to this relationship, which after all has sustained you over time. It's not so much about showing tenderness as doing tenderness through your acts, large and small, which deliver the message that you care. Find out what the other's love language is, since it may be different from yours. What feels tender to the other may be a stretch for you to give. Do it only if you genuinely feel it. Otherwise, it will ring hollow and do more harm than good. Maybe you come up with a special and unexpected treat for the other person. Or take someone for a walk where you can sniff the roses again together and share what's in your heart, appreciating your friend or partner just for who they are. And when you do this, you can enjoy the warmth and tenderness of your own heart as it stretches to tend to the other, regardless of their response, be it a growl, nip, or soft-eyed glint of gratitude. This is your card if you picked number 7, Protection. Put up your guard. If you fetched this card, you're in need of some kind of protection, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. It may be time to provide protection for yourself or to seek protection from others. Conversely, you may be called on to provide protection for another. Perhaps you've been pawed over by an energetic assault you were not quite prepared for. You may be feeling vulnerable or frightened in some way, seeing yourself as diminished and incapable of moving forward on your own. Excuse me. It's appropriate to shield yourself during or after an incident that's had your fur up or that's grabbed you by the tail. You may need to draw the line with someone and make a new agreement. You may need to remark your personal territory. territory that may need to be renegotiated time after time to maintain a sense of integrity, honor, and self-worth. Even if you don't feel well-groomed for the job, sometimes the situation calls for becoming a protector of feelings, of values, of life itself. Beware of feeling too noble or better than when you're called to this role, for that is what it is, a role, and roles change. The protectors can become the protected, and vice versa, especially as they age from young pup to elder. Take time to notice where you feel you could use or provide protection, then seek it out in a person, place, process, or thing that does no harm to you or others. Also, remember to stay on alert, not to fall into a protected mode so long that you lose the precious vulnerability that allows for deep connection to others. Don't dig in and then hole up too long in self-protection. Don't use the legitimate need for self-protection as a short leash on your openness to the learning, training, growth, and intimacy we all need. Your card is belonging. Find your pack, if you chose number 8. If you fetched this card, it means you're looking to meet one of the most basic critter needs. It's time to sniff out, find, and be with those who most love you and are willing to understand you while challenging you to be your best. Whether it's the litter you were born in or a pack of your own making, it's time to recognize all the gifts you're giving to and receiving from this group to which you belong. Consider the following questions. Is your pack safe, communicative, committed, cooperative, and collaborative? Is it joyful and fun? Is it still the best place for you? Is it feeding you? Are you able to express all of who you are in your group? If you answered no to any of these questions, you may be ready to move on or create another pack to fulfill the needs that the current one does not. You can be members of more than one pack, and may well be, but don't spread yourself too thin, or you may never get very deep with anyone, leaving you a lonely dog in the end. True belonging requires vulnerability. You may be fearful of digging up old feelings or memories of isolation and loneliness, causing you to shy away from a group that wants to know the real you. Repeatedly licking old wounds can keep you feeling overprotective of yourself, so you don't risk getting what you most want and need. Belonging is our true nature, belonging to ourselves, others, the world, and the universe. And when everyone howls at the moon at the same time, you can even forget for a moment that it's you who is howling. It's your pack, and you're part of it. And lastly, if you picked number 9, this is your card, guilt. Turn off the alarm. If you fetched this card, it means you've become aware that you haven't done the right thing regarding something you've done or failed to do. Whether the act or harm done was real or perceived, you now have the sense that you've broken some rules, maybe your own. Perhaps you blindly followed a scent, nose to the ground, that led to decisions and actions for which you now are remorseful. But whatever it is, something is out of alignment between your values and your actions. Guilt is associated with emotion that results from several breeds of thought. It can stem from thoughts about doing the wrong thing, not doing enough, having something or having more than someone else, or making someone do something against their will, among others. Guilt is one of the feelings that sets off a useful alarm or sounds a whistle that lets you know you're off track from being your true self. Maybe you're convinced you actually caused harm to another or did something wrong. Perhaps you took another's bone or said you'd give them yours, then kept it for yourself. It's normal to feel guilty about that disconnect from yourself and others. Guilt can show you exactly where to make changes or have more compassion and forgiveness for yourself and others. But there's a danger in wallowing in a muddy pool of guilt, doing nothing, or descending from guilt into a deeper quagmire of shame. Shame is a destructive whip. It strips away the very part of us that believes we're capable of change, convincing us we are simply a bad dog, doomed to endlessly repeat those things that make us feel guilty. And that's all I have for this pick a card. If your cards resonated with you, a thumbs up to the video would be greatly appreciated. Comments are welcome. And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, just click on that little pink box in the bottom right corner. Thank you very much for coming by.